We both made a game called Shepherd, which is a jam game where the main character had an eye patch.
Oh yeah.
And so we were like, oh yeah, this kind of feels weird because the eye patch is very noticeable and it keeps flipping eyes.
Yeah, so that's what somebody's like, Sam, you're gonna need to do
Sam
something.
Just put an eye patch on both eyes.
Butterscotch.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 89 of Coffee with Butterscotch, the game dev comedy podcast, Butterscotch Shenanigans. I'm Seth and I'm the games programmer.
I'm Adam and I'm making 7 Up yours.
I'm Sam, and I'm drinking 2 liquids that I should not be drinking simultaneously.
One of them is also 7 Up.
And the other is coffee.
Oh, I thought the other was Up yours.
Oh God, my mouth feels disgusting.
Well, just keep at it. It'll pan out.
That is always the fix. If something is horrible, just keep doing it.
Just keep doing it.
Listen, if you're going through hell, just keep on going.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Just stay there in hell.
Eventually you run out of 7-Up or coffee and then
you
kinda
die.
even it out.
Then you die. So.
Steps of true nightmares.
Also, today is March 14th, 2017. Also known as Pi Day. Happy Pi Day.
Oh, yeah, it's
3.
Pi Day.
3.14.
Hold on. Wait, what day is it actually? Because I couldn't understand the words and now I'm confused.
It's Pi Day.
3/14.
3/14.
Okay, yeah, that's true. That is Pi.
Yeah. And
somehow I thought it was something else entirely, and so I was like, that doesn't sound like Pi at all.
During this podcast, we're going to hit 159, which I believe are the next 3 digits of Pi.
3.14, 159 indeed.
So that's a big deal.
It's an important moment.
Also, anything could happen on this show. There's going to be profanity, and then we're also going to talk about very interesting, sort of adult themed
Quantum mechanics.
things.
Bills,
insurance,
How do sunglasses work?
refinancing
should you wear 'em?
your mortgage.
Yeah, how do sunglasses work?
How do you wear
I
contacts
got like
for a
those
while
polarized
without
lenses and
drying
stuff.
out your
Eyes
eyes?
cream. Yeah.
You know,
Lots of life pro tips.
Unfortunately, we don't know the answers to any of
we
these
don't know the answer to
questions.
them. But we're going to talk about them, and those are the kinds of things that you can expect on a game dev comedy podcast.
That's right.
And
Or if you're watching politics, just people talking about things they know nothing about.
exactly. So so if you don't do that, then get out of here.
If you don't do
Dad.
If you don't do that, all right. Listen,
I'll just accept it as it is.
listen, chaps.
Yes.
We got 3 news bulletins for this week.
Read me the news.
And I say that because they are in a bullet pointed list, which I assume is a bulletin. So bulletin number 1, Sam is dead. Let's talk about that.
This is actually, I think,
I would, but I can't because I'm dead.
yeah, Sam's dead. I think this is the first time I've seen Sam
Since he died.
Thursday or something.
Yeah, Sam
Friday.
caught the con plague at
Yes.
GDC.
It's really laid me quite low.
I think you went to GDC with the Diana plague.
Yeah.
And then you got to GDC, and then we thought you just had that, but I think you actually got over that, but also accumulated.
I don't know
a new
exactly what
plague.
Kind of
happened.
got a perfect storm.
All I
of
know
plague.
is that I was on NyQuil or DayQuil for 24
well,
hours
you got to
a
make
day.
sure you get on the right one at the right time.
Yeah, I
or
assume you were
else-
on NyQuil
Well,
during
I
the
was,
day.
swapping, yeah.
Yeah.
So I could be most
If you take
drowsy.
DayQuil at night, the whole thing's fucked.
Yeah, but so I was on one of those 2 cold pills literally for 24 hours a day during GDC. And I was
And
functional.
also Sudafed.
And also some
And also
Sudafed,
Mucinex.
some Mucinex, just really.
I feel like you might have overshot with your.
No, you undershot, if anything.
I think I did because so when I got back, the day I got back, then I stopped taking all that stuff because I got back
and
home.
the whole world fell apart.
And then my world imploded, and I proceeded to get 103-degree fever for a day, and then
Oh my
sort of
God.
fevered and shivered and stuff. And then somehow, randomly, I woke up on Tuesday. I felt amazing. You guys saw I came back
Yeah.
in the office. I was like, I come running in, like burst through
Super
Seth's wall like
jazzed.
a Kool-Aid man. I'm
Yeah.
like, let's
You
do
had
this.
you had that pep in your step.
And then Tuesday night,
You died.
I died again. So, and then I came back to work on Thursday or Friday.
And then
And then I died
You
again
died.
over the weekend. So I'm wondering when the seesaw is gonna quit.
I don't know. I don't know, but it's rough going to these conventions, you know, because you shift time zones, so your sleep schedule gets kind of
Oh
offset.
yeah, and the daylight savings fucking
daylight
time.
savings?
What is
Yeah.
that? Give me a break.
And still, most of my clocks can't change themselves. You know, I've gotten so used to my
Yeah, the
phone.
oven.
Even my fucking laptop can't change itself. What? It's a goddamn laptop.
Don't they just change
It has a
itself?
whole brain in it, you know?
Oh, mine did.
Did mine do
Sounds
it?
like-
Maybe it just
maybe
takes
a
a while.
personal
Oh, wait, no. I was thinking of when we were traveling.
Oh,
and went
that
to a
was
new
time
zone.
zone.
That was
Yeah, that was a
probably,
time zone,
yeah. The time zone it didn't adjust to, but yeah, it does adjust to. Like
Yeah, so I think, just getting kind of yo-yoed around through the sands of time.
Yeah.
It really kind of...
Speaking of yo-yo,
Really
Game
kinda-
Maker 2 came out last week.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We're switching to it. It's great.
You should too if you're using Game Maker. Because
Yeah.
Game Maker 2 is rock.
Also, I
think it
cannot
rocks.
believe how much faster it compiles, because when I was working on Crashlands, sometimes I'd be sitting there for like 3 to 4 minutes waiting for the game to just to save.
And
so
some
that I
of you
could run
listeners
it.
may be listening to this being like, that is a very short period of time. But
Except if you're doing it-
thinking that, you haven't been
If you're doing it 30 times a day,
Yeah.
and also where your computer is at 100% CPU during this,
So you can do
you can't do
nothing
anything
else.
else. So you just you hit Control S and then you just kind of stare at a green bar for 4 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like hell.
not the best.
It's just hell on earth.
Yeah.
And it's not good for your mental state, you
No.
know, because you're like, oh, I need to move that little piece of text 5 pixels to the left. So you change one character in your code and then you hit Control S.
Hey, wait 4 minutes.
Well, actually, as a consequence, then Seth would program for like 3 hours at a stretch and just be like, I don't want to look at that bar for 3 minutes, so I'm just going to do
Yeah, you got to do
a
things in
metric
both.
fuck ton of programming.
super dangerous.
Yeah. And then 1,000
Except
things are broken.
Every now and then you do it, you program for 3 hours and then you hit play and just everything works.
Yeah.
At
It
that
is-
point,
it
at that
is
point,
rare.
you could just be like, well, I can go home now. Right.
Yeah. It's like a whole day of work.
Because the rest of my day was going to be fixing all the bugs I produced in the first 3 hours. And I'm done for the day. But yeah, Game Maker 2, super good. Also, bulletin item number 2.
Mm-hmm.
The dads came to visit for a week.
That's true.
Oh, yeah.
They were like, hey, come on, we're going to come on down to St. Louis because it's springtime. And we're going to help you
Birds
guys.
are chirping. Sun's out.
Yeah, we're going to help you guys with some just general, like yard stuff, help you get your outdoor spaces a little bit more.
Because none of us know. We've all lived in the city for too long, and we don't know how the
We've
outdoors work.
regressed
And
into
How
sort
does
of-
plants do?
How do plant grow?
Yeah, we've regressed
Nobody
into
knows.
these kind of urban jungle folk,
Yeah.
Because
Where
we
we
live in
can,
an
we can
urban
tell
jungle.
all the kinds of concrete, but not all the kinds of tree.
Yeah.
That concrete needs at least 3 hours of sunlight a day
Yeah, exactly.
in order to grow, not like
Like-
wilty.
Right.
Yeah.
Some concrete, is better in a damp environment and that sort of thing.
Yep.
We got that down.
We got that, but as soon as it comes to weeds or flowers, we can't tell the difference.
Nope.
So we need some help. So they came down.
But there was an important lesson that I learned, which is if you like a thing, it's not a weed.
That's true.
And if you don't want it to be there, it is a weed. That's actually that's the difference.
Which means it's a functional usage.
I used
right?
to grow up
Yeah.
thinking I wanted a weed garden because then you would never have to weed it. But
But
you-
then
but
they
if
would all
that's the
be
definition,
weeds.
then you can't.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you want a thing, it's not a weed anymore.
Yep.
And then you got to pull out the other stuff.
So one approach is just to want all the things you have, and then there are no weeds.
That's a good way to do it. That's like the gardening monk's life.
Yeah.
Another option is to have all the things that you want.
That was pretty good too.
Yeah.
Another option is just to pour concrete over your garden.
Yep. That's option 3.
That's how
And then
cities work.
resume living
The
as
raised earth option.
Yes,
Yeah.
resume living in the concrete jungle
Put out a
of,
parking lot.
of modern
Yeah, so the
life.
dads came by to basically help us do landscaping on our places.
And then
And then because we're in St. Louis and the weather yo-yos around like crazy, it was 30 degrees. It started snowing.
yeah, the whole week prior it was in the 70s.
Yep.
As soon as they arrived, blizzard, snow,
It's still snowing
ice,
outside.
still snowing
Yep.
outside. And it's probably going to be snowing and cold just for the next
Probably
week.
until the
So,
day that my guess is that the day they leave.
Yeah,
it's
probably
gonna be
Sunday,
70
it's
the
gonna
birds
be
will be
beautiful.
chirping.
Yeah.
Yep. Flowers are blooming. Little kids will be outside riding scooters around.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the way things go sometimes. And also, finally, we can get to the third news item that I think is something that we really need to talk about.
How was that?
It says Adam is a cookie ninja.
Yeah, Adam.
I don't quite know.
Is that true? I didn't put this in here. I didn't prepare the podcast doc.
Well, you're looking at me.
So somehow we have a news item about Adam stealing cookies, and he claims no ownership over
No,
this.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
So I brought, what was it? I brought like 12.5 cookies in the office last week.
It's
The
possible.
one day that I was
Why
here.
would you bring 12.5? Did you eat half of
dozen and a half. A dozen and another half dozen.
Oh,
Yeah. A dozen. Not,
a dozen.
Not 12 and a half.
And
a
a half
dozen
cookie.
and a half. And
Carry on.
So I left them here. And then by the time I got back on Friday, they were all gone. Okay.
Yeah.
It's 12 cookies.
They were for the office, and the office ate them.
and then a half
then-
cookie also was gone.
Yeah. And then today I brought in some more cookies, and I think there's one left, maybe two.
Yeah, well,
I
I mean,
actually have
you-
not eaten any of those ones. I've been eating all the ones that Tifa brought yesterday.
I mean, you put those cookies there. What do you think's gonna happen?
Yeah.
What do you
All right.
think is gonna happen?
I mean, I don't know. I guess I suppose.
It doesn't say Sam's cookies only.
Do
I was
not
going to
eat
say,
dead dove.
eat in moderation. I don't know. Maybe is that?
I don't even understand
much
those
to
words
ask?
together.
Why would you eat cookies in moderation?
That's
Are you
exactly it.
insane?
I'm just worried that Adam's going to get diabetes every time I bake. I'm like,
Well, he
I'm
can
gonna
only
make-
get it once.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not gonna get it. He's not gonna get it every
No,
time.
man, it's a stacking debuff.
Diabetes.
That's true, yeah.
Get one stack
6
applied
stacks.
every time you eat a dozen cookies.
Mm-hmm. Then it turns into a Boolean switch.
Yep, we've all been there.
Yeah.
Let's get on to some questions. These questions come from podcast.bscotch.net. And since we got a lot of things going on in the studio, but we can't talk about pretty much any of them, which is why our news items are pretty tame this week.
And random.
Which is great though, because now we have the whole time for questions. All right, so first question.
Seth.
First question comes from Cole Benito.
Hey.
Was that that's like with Benito?
KOL.
Oh.
Cole Benito.
Cole Benito.
Cole Benito says, I found out about you from your podcast, bought all your games for iOS. Your personality comes through in your games. What do you do when you want to spin the gears to come up with new ideas?
I'm impressed that you.
Yeah,
I'm impressed with your commitment. Your commitment to the robo voice.
Because that was a long question.
That was a really long one to choose to do a voice for.
I just loved that, like, the first 3 sentences were just these kind of short statements with periods, and I thought this person might be a robot.
Sounds like something a robot would
So
do.
I'm trying to bring in the character of the question asker a bit more.
That's fair.
All right, so I think
How do we spin up ideas?
So yeah, what do we do when we want to spin the gears? Which is another thing a robot would
Here's our
say.
secret. Our gears are always spinning.
Yep.
Yeah, really the problem is stopping coming up with new
And
ideas.
then
Because at a
doing
certain
work
point,
instead.
at a certain point, you have to do the thing that you thought of.
Yeah, that's the hard part too.
Yep.
'Cause You're like, like, I'm gonna think about how cool this whole thing would be, and then it comes time to do it. And you're like, maybe I should, instead of doing this one, I'm gonna spin up another idea because it's fun spinning
Yeah.
up ideas.
Starting things is
Dude, it's incredible.
a good
blast.
time.
You're like, oh my god, the world is our oyster.
Mhm.
Literally, it's an oyster.
I've known a lot of people who are novel starters, where they start writing a novel and then they move on and start the next one.
Yep.
Well, people are game starters. They start making games or even start playing games.
Yeah.
Go on to the next one, right?
'Cause I
Starting
think
things is probably one of the best pastimes.
What is it? It's like the
Yeah.
peril of choice, right? Because you have to at some point say,
I'm not going to do it.
I'm not gonna choose something. I'm choosing this. I'm gonna go do it. And most people have a very hard time with that.
That's
including
why.
us,
Yeah, that's why you always want to wear like 6 shirts at a time, right? Because that way, at any time you can, anytime you can rip one off, and then you've got
right.
another fashion going on.
But unfortunately, you've now forced your decision making down to 6. Because actually, in that case,
I mean, it
you've
is-
only made one decision there, which is
not to wear.
in what order you should wear your stack of shirts.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I mean, unless
You've
you
now constrained all
unless you
future
pull
decisions
one off and then put it back on under your other shirts, kind of.
without taking those ones off, I assume.
Yeah, yeah. Well, because I mean, that's easy to do, right? You kind of put it under the collar, right?
Yeah,
You,
yeah,
Get it
just-
under there. Kinda do-
That's how I put my clothes
Actually,
on.
no, that's probably impossible.
I think
now
it
that
is
about it.
No, I'm actually never without a shirt because anytime I need to put on a fresh shirt, I just put it on underneath the one that I'm wearing and then just take the other
Does
one
your
off.
skin count as a shirt?
No.
Well,
Nah, man,
But
nah.
back to the question. I think
Not according to laws.
which part's the hard part? Is it actually working on the stuff? Because
Yes.
So for example, I came in today.
Well, the question specifically is, what do we want to do when we want to come up with new ideas? Like,
Well,
is
that's the problem.
there a
That's what I'm saying.
deliberate process, or I mean, because I think
No, it's
the
when
deeper
there's
you go, the more ideas you get about.
it's when
all
there's a
kinds of things.
vacancy. That's when the ideas come. So in other words, the ideas are always there. It's like a power vacuum, right?
Mm.
Once an idea gets finished because you're done working on it, then suddenly thousands of other ideas rush in to fill the gap.
Which isn't to say that they're good.
No,
They just are
exist.
ideas.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's I think the problem, because anytime we're post launch of a game, this is an interesting problem we have, because there's always the question of, do we continue working on this or do we do something else? And oftentimes we'll just stay in that I don't know what to do stage for weeks. And then finally, once we decide either to continue working on something, and suddenly we have 100 ideas about what to do with it. Or if we decide, oh no, we're going to do something else, then now we've got 100 ideas.
It's
pretty much
it's the
immediately.
first decision point. The first cut is the deepest, you know?
It is.
Yeah.
Baby, I know.
Yeah. All right. Next question comes from Zuby311. You gave 2 talks at GDC recently.
Yeah.
Are those available online to watch?
One of them is.
Yeah.
One of them is, which is the good one. I mean, they're both good.
It's like 7.
But the one that people will probably be more interested in.
Yeah, the Crashlands postmortem is up. I think it's in the GDC vault in the free section.
And I think we're going to probably try to get a link to it up on our
We just make a Bitly link for it.
We have a...
What should the Bitly link be? We should make it as confusing as possible.
How about bit.ly/ the word hyphen spelled out, and then an underscore, and then the word underscore.
Followed by a hyphen.
Followed by an actual hyphen. All caps. But
the word all caps.
All caps, but in all lowercase.
In camel case.
Yeah.
But the word in camel
In
case.
camel case. So just look for that link. Super easy to find. All right, next question comes from T04 Glovern.
Glovern?
Maybe Glovern? Glovern.
It's when you're governing
With a
bright
glove.
With
The Glovern is a magical gauntlet.
He's the
that
governor.
Whoever wields it is a governor. It's not a very good gauntlet, honestly.
The Glovernor.
The Glovernor. T04 Glovern says, what system, mechanic, or artistical wizardry are you guys most proud of that typically has gone unnoticed in your titles? What do you,
Sam must be thinking of something.
Just the titles?
in the yeah, well, I mean, our titles all move, you know, and nobody ever says anything about
No one's like, hey,
that.
that's vibrating.
Yeah, like you go on the main menu and you kind of see it wiggling around. Nobody ever
I think,
reviews the title.
you know,
No.
there's a lot to be said for a good title. And I think no, as far as things that are like unnoticed, I think the fact that we cover up every animation with explosions.
No, I think even better is the fact that we basically don't animate most things.
We literally don't.
Like, so for example, all of the creatures in Crashlands and Flux always look at the camera, even when they're moving away from the camera.
Yep.
Nobody fucking notices.
They actually only look in one direction,
And then we just flip them.
mirror image them. And that's the other thing too. Is like a lot of people think, you know, if you make something that isn't symmetrical, if you mirror image it, you should, or if you're gonna flip it, you should probably like have another drawing so that
The
but we don't
lighting's
do
correct.
that. Maybe
Or
not at all.
just
It's
fuck
just
it.
mirror flipped.
Yep.
So it can be a little confusing because there are a few character heads, right? So like the Tentrom have their heads that are
But they have
asymmetrical.
like a broken horn
yeah,
or
yeah.
something.
But there's
like
like, I
that.
think, if I remember correctly, I think there's like one that's broken on one side and one that's broken on the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you flip them,
When you flip them, you can't tell which one is which.
we both made a game called Shepherd, which was a jam game where the main character had an eye patch.
Oh yeah.
And so we were like, oh yeah, this kind of feels weird because the eye patch is very noticeable and it keeps flipping eyes.
Yeah.
And
So that's
so
what
Sam-
somebody's like, Sam, you're gonna need
So
to
Sam
do
just
something.
put an eye patch on both eyes. Which
looks
was sort
awesome.
of the opposite solution that I was hoping for. But
They made a very iconic character choice, though. So it's
They
pretty
did.
good.
he's now the blind double eye patch. And of course, it's weird too, because at that point, you would normally use sort of a blindfold
It's good.
instead of 2 eye patches. But hey, what are you gonna do?
It was
you know,
faster.
you got 2 eye patches laying around. You're gonna use them.
Yeah.
You know.
You know,
All right.
don't make waste.
Next question comes from Farrellin34. You guys have stated before that it's hard to get hype built up with your design schedule. Have you considered releasing these mini games that you have built as tests for your next big launch? I mean, we can't talk about it.
You can't see our faces right now, which is good.
Well, but the other part of this is something to consider is that if we make some weird little, fun game over a weekend or something, which we do to practice, sharpen our skills and that sort of thing, it's actually not necessarily the case that you could just put that out in the wild in some way and, put some sort of PR muscle behind it, get it going, and then have that be somehow an assistant to the next game launch, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it isn't necessarily the case you can build hype by releasing this kind of stuff that we put out. And
Not
in fact,
necessarily.
not necessarily. And in fact, if you were going to try to do that, you'd have to do it, you have to do it very carefully by somehow making that game feel like it's about the next game and like leading into it, having some way to kind of capture people when they play. You know,
if you were gonna
do that, sort of
hypothetically, if this were on the docket.
But I think importantly, people tend to only think up to the launch in terms of what work there is to be done. But what people tend to not realize is that launching a game is the start of an entirely new set of problems, right?
We didn't even recognize it. I mean, we thought we kind of recognized it before Crashlands launched, but
if you put out a game that people like and that they are playing, then all of a sudden, especially with the way people are now accustomed to things like, you know, League of Legends or World of Warcraft or, you know, any large longer term game, people will actually get angry if at a certain point you go, the game is done and we're not going to update it anymore, right? And then you kind of get accused of abandoning your fans or whatever, which we have been accused of because we've slowed down on updates on Crashlands and stuff.
Yeah, because making an entire new game for them is abandoning.
Yeah, how dare we? So I don't know. It's kind of weird because like once you put a game out there, then there's a whole new set of expectations you got to worry about. So
yeah. Well, and that also means, I mean, releasing a game is not free, right? It's actually enormously costly for a studio to do.
A lot of time. Even so, and you know, but
even a small game.
A good example of this is actually even like going to GC. We've talked about this before, but there are costs beyond just say taking a week to go to a convention or something like that.
Yeah, the first week was so scattered and distracted with us preparing for GDC that we lost that week also.
And then you go to GDC and then everyone's basically embattled and wounded.
I will say though, next year I'm not going to prepare for GDC.
Yeah, what's the point?
Yeah,
cool.
Because we spent so much time reaching out to other developers,
and they were all like
to meet with them, and maybe less than 0.5% of them responded.
Yeah,
so
which is weird.
Why bother?
Let's talk about this for a second.
Let's talk about this
because there's this list floating around that was a bunch of devs who were going to GDC. It had their contact info, what they were looking to get.
Yeah, like who they were bearing in mind that these people voluntarily went to this list
and put their names on it,
put their contact info and names in there,
putting what they are looking for and what help they're looking for.
Yeah.
So we went through this list.
There were 300 people in it.
Yeah, the whole squad went through this list of 300 people, broke it up on Sunday before GDC, and then we emailed about 40 people who specifically in the things that they were asking for
that we wanted to talk about.
We know things about that we could help. So people who are saying, "Oh, I'm about to launch a game on mobile," or "Oh, I'm about to launch a game on Steam," or "Oh, I'm working on my second game, and I would like some."
So it was
software games.
40 devs who put their names in this list, hoping to be contacted by other people who we definitely had something in common with.
So we did, and none of them go back.
None of them responded.
Yeah, I'm totally down with just going to GDC.
I'm just gonna go.
Yeah.
And if you're a dev, if you're listening to this, if you want to meet us next GDC, you just send us an email because we sent out like 1,000 emails before this GDC, and man, that response rate was abysmal.
Yeah, it's just like launching a game.
No, actually, launching a game is way more successful.
It's really better.
Yeah,
that's true.
So we're not doing that anymore. All right, next question comes from Kulabula. Kulabula says, "Are you now considering scrapping your question greenlight system and introducing BS questions direct?"
Ooh,
yes.
So you just pay us to put your question on the podcast.
We plan to charge between $500 and $5,000.
Yeah,
per question, something like.
There's a lot of garbage questions coming in, so we gotta get that. Get that good rate.
Yeah,
agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Put a wall up, a money wall.
Yeah.
Actually, that would make the podcast finally start having some kind of a return. Even if it was $1 per question, but seriously, we're not gonna do that. Yeah. This is actually this question for those who haven't caught the news. This question is a joke about Steam removing their green light system for getting games approved.
Speaking of Steam doing things, they've updated their reviews again.
That's true.
Oh no! So they made an announcement that if you got the game for free at all in any context, meaning if I bought you the game as a gift, your review no longer counts.
Ooh.
So no reviews that weren't directly
purchased. So you can
purchased.
only review a game if you personally have some skin in the game.
It just doesn't count. It doesn't count.
I think that's fair.
I think it is fair, but it is really interesting though.
Or
because
is it? I don't know. I don't
one
care.
Of the but one of there's a whole market. There's a whole economy on Steam of reviewers who just ask every fucking person in the universe for a key in return for reviewing their game. Right? We got an enormous number of solicitations for that when we launched Crashlands.
And of course, we took advantage of all of them.
Yeah, that's why we had such a good rating.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
None of them are real, honestly.
No, that's just all of our fake accounts that we use.
It took a long time
to
buy
and
the
it was
game back
very
in the
expensive.
Yeah.
It's actually what we've been doing this past year. It's what we hired everybody for.
Yeah.
Now write more fake reviews.
Just reviews, just pumping them out.
Yeah, this is how you become successful in the games industry.
Lie.
You just lie a lot.
Yep.
What are you gonna say to that?
I don't know. We got to whip down
Something about the economy of economy of reviewers.
So there's this whole economy of the sort of like dark economy of people just consuming Steam keys in exchange for reviews, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
seedy
so I'm wondering,
underbelly of
I'm wondering if
Steam.
this is what they're trying to crack down on. Maybe
I think it 100% is.
Yeah, because I think it makes sense to do it.
Well, and I don't know if this is true, but what we've found with our mobile games is that as soon as a thing becomes free, people no longer self-select when it comes to actually downloading it and playing it, because if they have to pay $1, then they'll think about it first, decide if they might be interested in it, and then get it. So instead, you get a much larger group of people who this game isn't even for, frankly, and your review score goes down as soon as something is free. So by removing all free game reviews from Steam, I imagine you'll see a boost in reviews, except potentially for titles that were kickstarted. Potentially. Yeah. Because Kickstarter keys are also free players. So
So is there anybody left who Steam could remove the power to give a review from? Because that's
maybe
my
just
question.
Everybody else.
It's like if you bought it,
which really could be the best case scenario, actually. Just remove the review system.
This is interesting.
What have review systems actually done
Well,
for
this is an interesting question, because I remember, going to Comp USA and you just go to the shelf and you just look at the game.
Yeah.
And then you decide, you're like, yeah, this looks like a professional, high quality game.
You open up your wallet and you see if the amount of money in there matches the number
Is
on the
equal
thing.
or greater than. And you're like, yep. And then you bought it. And honestly, that worked out pretty good. Although, for a game to get onto a store shelf, it was curated.
Yeah, it was a lot more costly to get there.
What are you going to do? Take it or leave it. All right, next question comes from Gerf99. Gerf99 says, "Hey guys, I just started listening to your podcast and they're great, but it would be cool to know how you guys tackle health issues regarding game development. So for example, arm strain or back injury, if you guys get them.
We develop real hard.
Back injuries?
So number one, quit deving on a laptop. Specifically a 13-inch MacBook. Why are people doing this?
Quit deadlifting while you're deving on your laptop.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if your form is good, then it's fine. You just duct tape your laptop to the bar.
I don't have like a thrown out back. No one's hurt their back or their arms working here.
Yep. So
we'll just say that we don't use here is ergonomics.
Ergonomics. We have actual monitors with adjustable heights, and we have actual keyboards and actual mice. And then we just plug our laptops into those and just use a laptop kind of like a
We refer to it
tower.
as jacking in.
Yeah,
like
so everybody comes in the morning, jacks into their workstation because really the back problems, and so the back problems come from bending down,
having
and
bad posture,
sort of like hunching over your laptop, right? So if you bring your monitor up, you just sit in a chair like a
straight,
normal
like a
stare in
human.
the eye.
And then of course for arm strain, what?
I didn't get
What are you
arm
doing?
strain.
What are you doing? How hard are you developing?
Especially with since I use a mouse for everything, I figured I would have gotten repetitive.
But you do
injury.
now use a vertical mouse.
I do, but even before,
But
I
you
used a
held it.
laptop mouse for the first half of fucking Crashlands, like a little 2-incher.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just comes down to the things like the height of your desk, the position of your arm,
the goodness of your keyboard.
Well, I did get cancer though, so who
Well,
knows?
that's true.
That might have been because of the tiny mouse. My
Could have
arm
been from the
ergonomics.
Could have been from that
from the
wireless
development.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I developed so hard.
So you overshot,
I
but now
overshot.
you're back on track.
Yeah.
So
Except
just
they
don't
had
do
flu,
whatever
though.
it was that Sam did, and you should be fine. All right, next question comes from also Kula Bula. Sam, how do you draw so quick? Do you use or not use references? Do you listen to or not listen to music while drawing? What is
Or
your
not what?
secret? What is your secret
Is
sauce
or is not
to drawing so damn fast?
This is like Tim from the Enchanter from Monty Python.
Kula Bula. You know, what are you going to do?
All right, so first question first. I don't usually use reference images, which I know is a terrible thing.
So you not to use them.
I do not use them. I probably should more. They'll probably actually make me faster.
Or slower.
Or slower. Who knows?
Could go
because
either
then you
way.
have to go look at something.
It's going to make you draw faster, but it's going to make you
draw slower.
Look at reference images slower because doing it is slower than not doing it.
Yeah, in general, I try to not do as many things as possible.
Yeah, one of the keys to being fast at everything is not doing most things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's actually totally true. So I don't spend time doing reference images.
Cut out the chaff.
Yeah, you cut out the
You
chaff.
don't use a stylus.
Yeah, I use mouse, so I don't need to, You
don't have to worry about that long time that it takes to move your hand onto the tablet.
Oh yeah, no,
Because
you're
it's
just
already on the
going.
mouse.
Yeah.
Hotkey everything.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
That's a huge one.
If you ever only are interacting with your computer with one hand, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, I think. Well, I mean, even if
Whenever I see somebody right click a thing and click copy and then right click somewhere else and click paste,
Yeah, you got to slap them a little bit.
I get the rage eyeballs.
Yep.
My eyeballs vibrate.
Oh, seriously, because like a lot of people
twinkles
use,
well.
a lot of people use Gmail or like some sort of email client for some part of their day. A lot of people are in Excel or some form of sheets during their day.
Some kind of sheets.
A lot of people are inside of like a dock of some sort for a lot of their day.
Or a building.
People are also inside buildings.
Clothes. People are inside lots of things.
They are, but so the question is, are you operating inside those things
Yeah.
at at the highest possible speed that you could be? Yeah.
People don't think about this.
But it's not just about speed either, right? Because if you cut out all the other stuff, then you're just doing fewer things. So you're not really going faster. You're just only doing one thing. So it just takes less time, right? But it's not just about that. It's also about not splitting your focus, right?
Yes. Don't be watching YouTube videos or listening to podcasts.
No,
Turn this shit off.
I can't listen to anything.
Yeah, or maybe even using reference images, right? Because the question is, what is that thing doing for you? If it's just a thing that if part of your mental process is just like this sort of automatic looking at an image while you're drafting a thing, that sort of thing, then that's fine, right? But if what you're doing is actually splitting focus between looking at an image and thinking about it and then coming back and drawing, right? You're actually doing two different tasks and splitting your focus between them.
That's true. So what you
Which
should
is
do
probably
is
gonna
look at
slow
the
you
reference image, use your photographic memory to memorize it.
I mean, yeah.
Obviously.
Yep.
What
But
do I
there's
think?
there's something else to this question
What's that?
that we need to kind of poke in the eye, which is
Well, I do listen to music.
yeah,
so
that's
I should
fine.
get
That's
that
fine.
out
But you can listen to music.
It's just the same song. on
Just
repeat,
put it on
though.
repeat.
Yeah, it's
Use
got to
it
be
for like 4 days.
mindless.
But the last part of this question is, what is your secret sauce to drawing so damn fast? And this reminds me of people who say like, what is your secret when they see somebody who's in shape, right? You're right. There is no
My secret is to exercise.
there
go
is
to
no
the gym
fucking
every day.
secret. You constantly work your ass off to improve at that particular thing.
Well,
right?
and pay attention to the parts that are slowing you down, right?
Yes.
I mean,
There's
the reason that Sam was hotkeyed everything was because at some point he was like, I'm
He
moving my
thought about
hand
it.
a lot.
Mhm.
I should have stopped doing this, and then figured out a solution to stop doing
Yeah.
that.
So all the things that we do are 100% process focused. So it's always at the end of each day, thinking back on what you did that day and asking, could I have done that better or faster?
Mhm.
Or are there things I could have
Well, so
just
there's-
not been doing?
there's
It's
an
not a
interesting thing
natural
here.
thing. It was
So we got that big Cintiq thing for Tifa to work on, as well as any other artist who joins our crew. And she and I were chatting about it. I asked her this morning, I was like, oh, do you have any new hotkeys you've been working on? So this is a conversation we have in the office frequently is, oh, do you have any new hotkeys?
how's your process?
It's like how was the weather yesterday? Do you have any new hotkeys? Like, so
what cool new programming trick did you learn last night?
yeah, well, so Tifa
whatever.
found out one interesting thing that I didn't know. So she shared that with me, which will actually has already sped up my process considerably. But another one is that she said that, the Cintiq has it's a super cool device that you draw directly on. Basically, it's a monitor tablet thing. And it has a mablet, and it has a ton
Tableter.
of keys on either side of it. Now, the problem is, of course, that everybody has a dominant hand that they use to actually draw.
Mhm.
So the fact that there's a shitload of buttons on the same side that your hand is, that's
It's
the
actually a
pen,
problem.
is actually useless.
Yep.
Because she mentioned today, she's like, it'd be nice if all the buttons were just on the left side, so I can, because she has
That's the same. We hook her up with a Razer Nostromo. Boom.
she has
Good
way
to
less
go.
access to hotkeys than I do.
Mhm.
Actually,
Not
work
with
on a
that
keyboard.
Razer Nostromo.
I mean, you just go over there and
Yeah, you just always have your hand on the little thing.
Even that one though doesn't actually have as many. Doesn't have enough
true.
hotkeys.
It'll
It's a
have,
full
I think
keyboard.
it has 15 keys plus modifiers.
Yeah.
So
So how
you
many
can- so you can
modifiers
get-
does it have though?
Control Alt Shift. So you can get
So that's 6 combos.
so you can get about 60 hotkeys
I
out
guess
of
like
it.
3 combos because order doesn't matter.
Oh, I mean, unless you start doubling up too.
Yeah, or
Side
tripling
block.
up.
Yeah, or tripling
So
up.
you can only get like 300 hotkeys out of it.
Yeah, it's just not nearly
It's just
enough.
not enough.
So I think a big part of it is using hotkeys. I do listen to music, but yeah, always something on repeat. Recently I've been doing one I always go back to is the Unlike Pluto remix of Ride by 21 Pilots.
Nice.
Super good song.
I still just listen to Danny Baranowski, although now I've expanded that a bit to Google Play Danny Baranowski Radio, so that it includes
Occasional random bits.
other game artists or game
Yeah.
game audio artists and and kind of some chiptunesy stuff, but it's all
You're
completely
walking a dangerous line.
wordless, good like action heavy kind
Yeah.
of stuff that feels
You're
good.
venturing beyond the borders of the Danny Nation.
What was the
You're gonna get
what was the
stabbed.
final bit of the question?
Oh, it was just what's the secret sauce?
Oh, I think approaching, because if you're working in Inkscape, you have the ability to approach it like you're sculpting. And I think if you're just trying to draw something, it's easier to like fuck up a line or something. But
And you
if you
redraw
think
it.
think about it like in big ugly blocks first, and then chisel inward from
It's
there.
kind of like that thing when they go draw 2 circles and then just draw the rest of the owl.
Yeah, right. Because once you get that shape down on the outside, then the inside fills itself basically
On its own. You
Oh,
don't
it's
even
just-
have to
you
do
don't have to
anything.
do anything. Just hotkey it. But
Yeah.
done.
Yeah, just hotkey the button that does the rest of the
Yeah.
art,
Mhm.
and you're good to go.
Yep.
All right, next question comes from Lethalor, who says, I like the trio aspect of the podcast. Is it too much trouble to have subs in from the studio in the case that one of the buttery smooth brothers aren't there?
No, we do it all the time.
No, yeah, we've done that. All right, next question comes from Melon, but the E is a 3, so it's
Mithrilian.
Mithrilian.
It's like Marilyn.
Says, do you get creative blocks in what you do when coming up with concepts and or art block?
No. So
People, you got to
Goddamn.
work on your phrasing on these questions.
Okay,
It's a little
so-
disorienting.
So let's talk about this. There's a book called War of Art that if you haven't read it, you should go goddamn read it
Yeah, read it. It's
right
good.
now.
The War of Art, not the Art of War. That's a totally
different
different.
thing.
book.
War of Art.
It's about murder.
Someone actually who I told actually did get the Art of War, and they're like, I'm so confused. This is supposed to jazz me up.
Yeah,
It's like
you-
700 pages of murder.
Have you read The Art of War?
I have not.
I have read it actually.
You pretty good?
It's all right.
They're like, hey, stab people when
Yeah, pretty
they're
much.
bad.
Yep, that's the Art of War. So, The War of Art is a book written by Stephen Pressfield, who is a famous writer guy. And what he does, like what Stephen King does, so Stephen King's On Writing is also a very good book to read.
Mm-hmm.
They all say the same thing, which is
Do a lot.
inspiration doesn't strike you
You strike
randomly.
it.
You strike it. Yeah, that's actually true.
Yeah.
Inspiration doesn't strike you. You strike it. So you sit down in the morning at 9
you
a.m.
just
and you
slap
just
the
start
keys.
fucking working, and then let the muse come to you. Don't worry about it. He'll come.
You just work.
You just gotta work.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
So,
Just type garbage for an hour.
Well, I think it's
and then
actually why
whatever.
I loved the sheer volume of stuff that we had in Crashlands, because it actually made it so I couldn't worry about anything.
They had shit to do.
I literally had so
You
much
had
shit
2,000
to do.
things to make.
It was like, hey, the perspective of this chair is a little different than the previous
Too
chair.
bad. I'll
Like,
hit the
too
next
bad.
one better.
Right. Use all of it.
Yeah. There was
I love
that podcast we mentioned a while ago called How I Built This, where
Mhm.
people talk about how they made cool shit. So the most recent one was the guy who did 5 Hour Energy.
Oh, cool.
And he said something which was related to this and very on point, which is inspiration is the wrong thing to look for and is useless. The thing that matters is determination. So you just fucking decide, I'm going to write. You don't wait to feel like you're going to write. You know, you just start doing it.
I like the phrase. There's a really great book called The Artist's Way, which is just about developing your creative self. And one of the points she makes is she says, you take care of the quantity and essentially let the muse take care of the quality.
And you just
which
keep
is-
the 5% of stuff you made that was actually good.
Exactly. You just got to make a volume of shit.
Mhm.
Just keep on.
Literal
and
shit.
most of it is shit.
Yeah.
You know, and you notice when you write code, usually
Mhm.
you come back and refactor.
Yeah.
Refactoring, editing.
You write first and you edit next, right? And same in code. You code first, refactor next,
Mhm.
right? And you continue to refactor or you continue to edit.
in an art, like so I just finished, I guess I can't talk about it. I finished some things. And once we actually
Some
get
stuff.
them into the game world,
For whatever.
for whatever reason that they're in there, I don't know why.
What game? We don't know.
once they're in there, then I'm going to take a look at them and modify who knows what. Yeah. Modify any colors or any shape problems that I have with them.
If they have shapes or colors.
Which we don't know.
Who knows? I don't know.
This makes me think of the horrifying subreddit called Get Motivated.
Oh, yeah.
Where people are basically just passing around sort of like inspirational quotes.
I love inspirational quotes, though. I'm a huge fan.
Here's a problem. If you fall into this trap, though, of believing that all you need is like your daily dose of inspirational quote, and then everything will work out, you're gonna have a bad time.
I will say sometimes I have
you gotta come from within instead of from without.
I'm gonna quote that and put that on Get Motivated subreddit.
If I've been having a hard time doing stuff, I think it is true that there's some weird form of procrastination that happens like that, where you're like, I'm gonna go read some of these Get Motivated quotes.
Yeah, and then you just end up on r/Get Motivated for 2 hours being like, yeah,
I should be motivated.
This is good.
Now it's bedtime.
And then you look, and then you go to bed.
Yeah. Yeah, so the trick is always just to do more. So you
need to learn to motivate yourself.
Don't wait for inspiration to strike.
Punch it in the mouth.
Just punch in the mouth.
All right, next question comes from
Rip out its teeth.
You can quote us on that.
Put that on a poster. Next question comes from Degeki. Degeki says, when building a game.
Degeki, the Dage key.
Dage key. When building a game, how do you manage shiny object syndrome and keep the feature list from getting too long?
We don't. That's our secret.
I don't know what about our games would indicate that we do that.
I mean, Crashlands, good God.
We still cut out way more stuff than we put in.
We did, but we also cut shit in all the way up until we launched the fucking thing.
Yep.
And then we put in some more stuff afterwards.
I mean, a lot of it is trying to plan your design and development around, the concept of the vertical slice or horizontal slice, whichever fucking direction it goes.
There's just slices somehow.
The idea is you decide what the thing is supposed to do end to end, right? And you just ask, what is the minimum set of things that gets me from one end to the other, and actually just get that laid out, right? And if you start with that and lay that out, then you'll know what it looks like to do that, right? You'll have all the pieces in place that you think need to be there. You'll know where it feels bad. You know where the holes are. You know what parts need to be actually shored up, right? And what actually doesn't need to be, because it's easy to keep on imagining cool things you can add, but actually understanding what they're going to do to the thing is impossible until you have it and can add it in there. I struggle with the same thing with our tool development, right?
Oh, of course.
Because we're making Andy and I are working on some sweet stuff right now and improving our art pipeline. And every time we do anything, I'm like, oh my God, we could build this alert system that just sends emails to everybody, lets them know every time a new art asset is created. There's other stuff we could just start getting pumped about, these random little features, right? But actually, we don't need any of that. We still just need the bare minimum. And then if it turns out,
then we need
after people use it, then we can add more robots to it to do that kind of stuff, right? But yeah, it's about getting the minimal set first.
Yeah, I remember when we talked to the editor of Touch Arcade like 6 months before Crashlands came out, and he said, "No." He's like, "Hey, what's the deal? Like, this thing arriving?" Or I said, "Oh, I'm so glad you wrote.
We got all these new features.
We're adding a story." And his response was, "Maybe you should just call this game Crashlands Feature Creep, the game." Yeah. And I was like,
"Yeah, that's true." Yeah. So it's hard. Whatever. All right. Next question comes from Degeki. Personal question.
Ooh. Okay. I'm taking off my shirt.
I want an impersonal question.
And what follows is definitely not a personal question. So we're good. We're in the clear.
Okay.
Where do you go for gaming and game dev industry news?
Gamesindustry.biz, Gama Sutra. That's it.
Yep. And then I'm disappointed every time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. You just, every day you open up and then you just kind of shake your head slowly.
And you say, everyone's
sigh audibly.
Everyone's declaring things with no data. I'm going to move on.
Yep. Yeah. So I basically just look to see what big things have happened in the industry, right? Because those are
specifically though, to highlight what things have happened, not necessarily what people are saying about those things.
Right.
People
it's nice to know like when the Switch launched, for example. That's useful information.
Well, keep in mind though that just as a good distinguishing line, there's many fewer bits of news if the only things that you actually count as news for yourself
are things that happened.
Not what everybody's been thinking about or talking about that thing.
That's not news.
It really actually. So this is a question.
Those are called opinions.
Yeah, it might have been Degeki a while ago. Who's asking how do you avoid sort of news burnout?
Yeah,
that's a good way to do it. Just what happened.
If you see a headline and you think this is just somebody's opinion, then It's not news. Don't
You can
read
just
it.
move on because you got your own opinions.
Yeah. The nice thing about that is then you only need about one sentence to.
Yeah,
learn
I just
a piece
read.
of
I go to
news.
New York Times to read the headlines.
You know what's
Then I'm done.
what's my favorite move? My favorite move is when somebody asks you your opinion about some kind of a world issue, right? And you just say, "Oh, I'm not well informed enough about that issue to have an opinion on it."
Mm-hmm.
And they just have no idea what to do about this.
Well, also because it's hard for them to give you their opinion at that point because they're like, I'm not well. Who is the ambassador? Probably about it.
Yeah,
But we fired all
very
those.
few people have all the information about most things.
Mhm.
So
Who
you know,
cares?
I'm okay with just opting out of having opinions about stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do it a lot actually. This comes back to the doing art fast thing. Just
Yeah, just
Why
don't
waste
do
the
don't
those
do that
things.
part.
Don't do that part of life.
Just
You got all this time for other things.
do the part that you enjoy.
All right, next question comes from Angry Muffin. Angry Muffin says, how many hours are in a spin? How many minutes are in an hour? But he put minutes and hour in quotes. So I think what he means is like, so a spin is a Wonope day. It's called a spin because
Way to make our own
is,
clock.
the planet is spinning, right? So I think what he's really asking is
What's
how
the
is
minute?
how is a spin divided?
Is the spin the smallest unit of time on Wonope?
Yes.
Yes.
That's
so
fine,
so
'cause
really
it has
then,
decimal values.
yeah, because a spin on Wonope lasts for 20 minutes, Earth time,
Earth time.
which means it's not very long, right? And so
It's like 20 minutes.
it's about 20 minutes. And so instead of breaking it down further, it just goes by decimals.
Yeah.
So you like 0.1 spins. That's
Yeah.
2
I mean, you could
minutes.
have like a millispin if you want to, or a decispin,
Yeah.
Mhm.
We could probably
What about a cent to spin?
centispin.
we could probably break spins down kind of into like 20ths. Because
What about like a-
then that
oh,
would
wait,
be
wait.
1 minute
Right.
on Earth.
And we
you
could
know.
call those a thwup because like that's the
Thwups.
sound like a helicopter. You know,
Thwup,
like
thwup,
spin.
thwup, thwup.
Ooh, yeah.
It's composed of thwups.
The sound of a blade spinning once. A thwup.
Yeah. You guys call it a blend, which is like a blade spin.
A
No,
blend?
It's too
blend.
confusing because it almost looks like spin.
A blend
Yeah.
thwup.
It's true.
Yeah. I don't know. We haven't figured this part out. But importantly,
A spin is 20 minutes.
a spin is 20 minutes.
That's all that
And,
matters.
you know, if you're doing anything for under or over 20 minutes, you're just doing it wrong. I think.
You did exactly 20 minutes on every activity you ever perform.
Yeah. I mean, if you're commuting
20
for
minutes.
over or under 20 minutes, that's inappropriate,
Mhm.
right? Because under 20 minutes, you can't really listen to a podcast or do much, right? Over 20 minutes, that's a long ass time. That means
You
you're
have to
driving.
listen to an entire podcast.
I like the idea that the function of commuting is to listen to podcasts.
That's actually that is what
It kind
it's
of is
for.
what it's
Yeah.
for.
It
That's
is.
true.
It is true. Like if I have because driving to work, it's about 25 to 35 minutes every day, and so it's perfect time to listen to a short podcast or half of a long one, right?
Yeah.
Do you listen on like sped up?
No, I just listen regular. I have a lot of car time, so you know.
I'm a 2X. I have to listen on 2
Well,
times.
this is a
speed, 'cause it
problem
takes me half
because
as
your
long to
commute
get
is
here.
under 20 minutes, and now
Yeah.
all of a sudden you have this problem.
Now when everyone's talking, I'm like, you're so slow in real life.
I only got 16 minutes to get to my destination.
Terrible. Get out with it.
Yeah, and when I take the dog to the daycare, you know, that's 8-minute drive and then 8 minutes back.
Right.
I can't do anything
Mm-hmm.
during that time, right? It needs to be 20 minits. That's it.
Do you think you could get everybody to speed up how quickly they talk to the point where everyone's speaking at like double speed just normally? Because I can totally understand a podcast that's doing it. It's just fine.
Well, no.
Well,
It's
nah.
hard to enunciate at that speed, right?
It doesn't
Yeah.
sound like it's hard for them.
It's because of computers. Like I know you're an artist and stuff, but there's computer magic that also goes
I don't
into
understand.
there.
I'm talking so fast.
Yeah. But also there's the Pomodoro thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think
25 minutes?
That's too long. Keep it at 20.
Okay,
I
sure.
don't know what they're doing.
We
with
call
that.
it the Spinadoro.
Yeah. So when you're working, you do 20 minutes of work at a time, then you take a 20-minute break.
Listen to a podcast.
Let's do a podcast. Go for a walk. Stretch your legs. Stretch your whole body. You know.
Will be a very ineffective way to accomplish things, but you will probably feel good physically.
We got to keep our competitive
Maybe not
advantage
emotionally.
by pumping out terrible advice.
Yes.
All
Actually,
right,
that's true. Do everything we say, unless it would cause us to be legally implicated, in which case, don't do it.
Yeah, we never told you to do it.
Nope.
Yeah. In which case, in other words, though, if not doing it would cause us to be legally implicated, then do it. So do whichever thing reduces our liability the most.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good one. Okay.
Yeah.
I think all we have to do is
that's
just
a
say,
good guiding principle in general, where if anything you're doing is going to somehow make us liable for it, don't do that thing.
Yeah.
Right.
We're not liable.
It's a pretty good principle. But don't we just get to say we cannot be held liable and then we just can't?
I think that's how it works. Which is
Like
kind of
it's like a magic spell.
Well,
kinda like
there's
saying
an
it's a prank.
There's an assumption of risk legal framework, right?
Right. When you're listening to a podcast, you're assuming some risk.
Yeah, because
Because a
this
podcast
came
can reach out
about.
and touch you.
This came about when there was an amusement park ride called the Flopper. Okay, and
Is this real?
this is real. Okay, and
So it has a lot of background for those who.
and people started getting on there, and they kept breaking their legs because it was literally like a floor attached to this like crazy ass pneumatic piston thing
It
that would
just,
just
like, goes up
randomly like
and down.
jack around, and people would get in there and they'd be like ha ha, and they'd be flopping around, and every now and then somebody would like land on somebody, or somebody would land weird when it's flopping, like they would get flung up in the air and then it would flop again while they were hitting snap their legs, and so. Just old school amusement parks.
Why did they just rename it the leg breaker?
This is the
leg
breaker.
So they one of the people who broke their legs, they sued the amusement park, and the court said, no, I mean, if you get on a thing called the Flopper and you can see
it flopping people
what
around,
it is doing, then you should not be so much of an idiot that you
To get on it.
that to either get on it or to even think that you could get on it without getting hurt. Right.
Mhm.
So it's assumption of risk. It comes from the Flopper.
Mm.
Yeah.
Is that still true? Is that still how things work?
yes.
Okay.
Although it's become a little bit muddier, right?
Yeah.
Because
Because now people are
the
too
judicial,
dumb to
I think
understand
the judicial system has sort of lost its faith in people's capacity to critically think about whether or not they're going to die from doing a thing.
There's that question. If someone actually approaches the Flopper with the intent to go on it, because it's an amusement ride,
and they're dumb.
are they going to assume that it can hurt them? You know?
They reasonably should, according.
But
to
are
the
they
court.
going to? Right? This reminds me
Well,
of the
no,
economics.
because the sort of metric for
Yeah,
the
it's
court.
not about whether you're going.
The metric
to.
for the court is whether or not a reasonable person would assume that.
But
If
there's
you
that-
are,
This
if,
sounds like economics.
well,
to
no,
me,
because
though,
like if
you know?
you are
Yeah,
unreasonable,
they're both very soft.
Yeah.
yeah,
They're cuddly.
which is why these kinds of things get overturned all the time and stuff, right?
And why the law is not equally applied because
in
it
the year
can be.
1900, a reasonable person wouldn't get onto a machine that breaks their legs. But in
nowadays-
1980,
Also, people died all the time from everything, and there was just like, what happened to you?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
They're just like, oh, I got in a ride and died. And they'd be like, oh, that kind of sucks.
yeah, that's
Go have another kid.
that's a normal thing
You
that
know,
happens because it's the year 1900.
Yep.
All right. Next question comes from Alan Falcon. What is Grubby's D&D alignment? What about Juicebox? Okay, so
Chaotic neutral.
D&D
Yeah.
is Dungeons and Dragons. There's an alignment grid.
Okay.
It goes from chaotic to lawful
Mm-hmm.
on one axis.
That basically is your measure of how much you follow the rules.
Yes. So you can be chaotic, neutral, or lawful.
Mhm.
So lawful meaning you always obey the law. Chaotic meaning you basically
Do whatever
always
the fuck you
do the opposite of the law.
Mhm.
And neutral meaning, who knows? Could go either way, right? And then the other axis is good, neutral, or evil,
Mhm.
which is about your morals, right?
Mhm.
So if you are like lawful evil, then you will always try to do horrible things, but within the boundaries
Yeah,
of the
you have-
law.
Well, but
So kinda
the
like a-
law, you
like
don't
a-
mean like the legal law. It means that the character, right,
Mhm.
has their own
Code.
strict set of code.
It's like
Yes.
Dexter.
So kind of a Goldman Sachs or Dexter kind
Yeah.
of a thing, right?
Basically.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah,
you're
that's
like,
true, actually,
you're
yeah.
like by my standards, I'm not going to necessarily break all the laws, but I will take as much money from literally everyone
yeah,
as
right. So
possible. Or
Goldman Sachs
kill
is
them.
lawful evil.
Yes.
Yes.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Grubby, I would go with. I think he's chaotic neutral.
Yeah. I think so.
Right. Because he doesn't actually what he's going out to do isn't it's like purely his own thing.
Is he
like,
chaotic neutral? He might be true neutral. Just neutral.
Wait,
all
True is
over.
on that spectrum?
Well, that's
It's
if
like
that's if you're
neutral.
neutral.
Double neutral.
Neutral. I
Yeah.
gotcha. Yeah.
Because he's not good or evil, but he also
He literally just does whatever the fuck he
I thought that was
He's
what
kind of-
chaotic was because I thought lawful is you do exactly what your rule set
That's what I thought too.
requires, right?
well, no, it's not about your rule set because because every person has their own code that they kind of live by,
Mhm.
right? Which means you could never be chaotic because that means you would always be going against your own code, which
No,
would now be a new
I think it's
code.
about like how solid the code is, right?
Oh, maybe.
You know,
I don't know. We need to do some research.
It's like
on
the
this.
flopper, and it's just flopping all over the place.
What's the D&D alignment of the flopper?
Of the flopper.
It's lawful evil.
Lawful evil.
That is true.
If you get in it, it will break your legs.
But it's fine because assumption of risk. Okay, so Grubby, chaotic neutral or true neutral. Yeah. I loved the quest chain in Crashlands where Grubby stole every earthly possession of the Flungus King, and then that results in a boss fight. And for some reason, you are fighting on Grubby's side. Yeah. Even though Grubby...
And you're like, wait a second.
Like at the start of the boss fight, you learn that Grubby just threw you into this fight because he just stole a bunch of shit. I don't know. And of course, Grubby helps Tack and helps Hardick, but in exchange for money. Yeah. So who knows? Yeah. Right?
Who knows what his ulterior motives
And then
are.
Juicebox
Juicebox is good.
Juicebox is neutral.
Yes.
Lawful neutral. Because Juicebox will always deliver the packages.
It's true.
Yeah.
No matter what.
But I think he has different alignments depending on what the target is. Because for the packages is lawful neutral, right? Yeah. But for everything else, because all he gives a fuck about is the packages.
That's what I'm saying though. That's his code, right?
Yeah.
Is that deliver packages under all circumstances. That's the rules. You don't break the rules. Right?
That's true, right?
And so
sometimes that has
moral implications.
Well, exactly. So that's why you're lawful. But then on the morality side, it's neutral because it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right? If you have to murder 2,000 animals and then construct an entire base out of their bodies and then wipe out like a giant floating head that's trying to destroy a planet, who cares? Because you got to get those packages delivered.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
And here's another question though. This is Juicebox we're talking about, right? But what is interesting is that Flux is in the mix too.
Yeah. Well, Flux and Juicebox are kind of
they're a team
single entity.
They're a team, right? But Juicebox is always pushing Flux to get the packages delivered.
Yeah, he doesn't give a shit.
But there isn't really much of a point during the whole story that Flux seems particularly concerned about the packages.
Yeah, she's just doing her job, you know?
Yeah.
She's just doing her job.
I think it's kind of like when you have that friend who's always worried about being on time. Then you just kind of stop worrying about being on time because you're like, nope. I mean,
I think it would be like if you had a friend who was concerned about being on time and would drive on the sidewalk and run over pedestrians to make sure that they get to work.
Well, I mean, I'm thinking in terms of group dynamics. It's been shown that in flocks of birds or in what's a shoal of fish, if you have
murders of crows,
in all these situations, you have there's some certain segment of the population that essentially takes on an attribute for itself that helps the group as a whole, but that would be terrible for the whole group to do. So for a fish, it's like there's certain ones that are more adventurous that'll sort of stray from the shoal a little bit to see if they can find food.
Adventure fish.
And what you find out though is that if those ones get eaten, so if they get eaten, then other ones just replace them. In other words, it's not like everybody.
Whoa. Yeah, wait, no, but hold on. Is that just an equilibrium state because those fish are constantly going out and then so they have a state that they flip into, which is like look at other shit state. But they only last for a short time, right? And then they come back into the shoal.
No, I think it's
like some other fish has look at other shit time. So just probabilistically speaking, if that was the model, if it was a state machine.
So it's sort of in the step event of the fish, there's like a 1% chance per step.
Right. Because that would make it so that it would appear as if one fish is
I think it's actually a behavioral thing.
Yeah, but how far can fish even see? How do they even know their buddy?
Well, not very far. That's science paper. That's why they have to get out of the school because they can only see like 3 inches.
But the whole point is, I think
scientists mostly don't know statistics.
If Juicebox wasn't there, then Flux's alignment would probably be slightly different, and vice versa, right?
That's true, probably for all social beings.
All social beings.
Well, but I think interestingly, Juicebox doesn't ever do anything. Flux does things, right?
Yeah, that's
so
true.
Juicebox will push Flux to do.
He's like the devil on your shoulder.
Yeah. Hey, those are some nice packages. Be a shame if something were to happen to him. Yeah. All right, you guys want to hit one more?
Sure.
All right. This last question of the day, week of the week, comes from Degeki.
Okay.
How would you define family today? Community? So I think he's also asking how we would define community also.
And why today specifically?
Well,
the question is, is there some temporal element?
Well, yeah, because like you can't know how you're going to define family tomorrow.
That's true.
You can assume.
Or does the definition of family shift over time? Has it shifted in the last 100 years? Go. When the flopper was around, was family really the same?
Well, I think
family was just the thing you threw into the flopper.
There are a lot of people who have problems with their families, and in the sense that their families do not treat them well, or whatever,
or they do not treat their families
or
well.
they do not.
And
treat
there
their
must
families
be a lot of those people.
Yes.
Given how many people we know
there's
whose families treat them poorly.
in any kind of bad family.
In fact,
relationship,
seemingly most people treat their families badly. Now that I think about it,
maybe, or the other way, depending.
Or the other
because it
way.
only takes one on one side of that.
that's true. Yeah.
So it's something that's always kind of bugged me personally, is the idea that there's a group of people who are total dicks to you. And aside from the fact that they created you,
which is sure is okay.
It's cool and stuff. But
Except that's a sunk cost.
yeah, exactly. I mean, you had no say in that.
Nope.
Right.
And it already happened. So,
you
why throw good money after bad?
Yeah. So you're an innocent bystander in your own existence.
Okay.
Right.
Sure.
In your own creation. So now you're here. And the idea that if somebody repeatedly is just a huge douchebag to you, that you're supposed to just put up with it and just allow that to kind of dominate your life. I don't like that idea.
No,
I don't
stupid.
like it.
Yeah.
So people say like you can choose your friends, but you can't choose your family.
Which is true, but you can choose
Which is
to
hang
not
out with
associate.
them or
well,
with your
I
family,
think it's true by the original definition of family, which is basically like blood relations or whatever, right?
which is a very
But I think
poor definition.
your family is the people who you decide to be close to. So your friends could be your family, right? I mean, like family is just people who have your back and who will just do whatever to help you out.
I think family is on the far end of the gradient between like stranger, right? So this goes stranger to family.
Well, I think there's
Towards
I think
family is friend.
enemy
Is probably on the far end.
and then
that's true,
arch
yeah.
nemesis is
Yeah.
really out there.
But so
And then
but that
arch
means
nemesis is
though
family.
Then
that
their
your-
family, yeah.
that your legal family may actually be on the enemy side,
Yeah.
right? In which case you shouldn't actually use the word family for them. You should just refer to them as your enemies, right? So you're like, I have to go to the enemy's house this weekend to,
Blood of my blood.
you know, like literally blood everywhere, you know?
Yep.
But,
because they're your enemies. And
yeah.
but so the more that somebody has your back, and probably the more you can just like,
I think it's a good measurement.
yeah, and then the more that you can just hang out with them, right? Even if nobody's like talking
There
to
might
each
be like
other
a
and shit.
two-dimensional axis there. Because like some people might just have your back all the time, but you might not necessarily want to just hang out with them, you know?
Yeah,
And vice versa.
Could be.
There might be a
that's possible.
This might be a coordinate plane that we're looking
Yeah,
at.
it might be. But the other thing is, people shouldn't have your back no matter what. you
Yeah,
know?
well,
that's the
nobody
other thing
does,
that
really.
Well,
Well,
what's the other thing that the family definition does, right? Is it says no matter what I do, right? Or even parents say this, like that's my kid.
The
you know?
unconditional relationship.
Yeah, it's like their kid murders somebody. They're like, but you know, it's my kid. I gotta be there for him. It's like, no, you don't.
No, you don't.
It's a fuck. You murdered people. You know? Yeah, I think. Yeah, I don't think that.
But, you know,
makes
we
any
may
sense.
get some questions from people or some question submissions from people saying, how can you know until you've had kids, you know, what that's like to
Doesn't
have
matter.
a kid who murders everybody?
Yeah,
I hope I never do.
it's well, I mean, that's the same thing as parents who say like, I know, like I understand this biological phenomenon because I'm a parent. Right? It's like, no, you don't. Those are literally unconnected things,
Separate
right?
things.
You may have seen some things that hint at that, right? But your one singular experience is not a collection of data on which to make scientific assumptions. But in any event, it doesn't matter because that's not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about here is just what a healthy way of approaching relationships is, right? And the healthiest way is if people are toxic beings, cut them out of your life and don't look back and be fine with that.
Yeah.
Like the
Well, we
definition of
talk about
family.
it's about dangs. It's about
Yeah. It's the people who replenish your dang.
Kick out the dang thieves.
it's people with whom you have dang parity, where you give dangs about them and they give dangs about you, and that is demonstrated regularly.
It's
Right?
actually true, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
you
what
have
it's
to-
about.
You have to avoid dang asymmetry.
Yeah. If somebody's taking your dangs because they're coming in and they're like, I need you to care about this thing in my life, or they inject some new problem into your life that you now have to give dangs to, right?
They're like,
They're
I
just-
broke your child's legs on the flopper earlier today.
I threw Billy onto the flopper and now you have to take him to the hospital
Yeah.
because this is not my problem, right? That person just took up your whole like week's worth of dangs and now you're not going to be able to, you know, practice the guitar anymore.
Yeah.
Or churn butter or whatever
Or
the fuck
churn
you're
butter
doing
because
at that time.
you ran out of dangs and it takes a lot of dangs to make butter, I think. We've
get
all
it so
been there.
smooth.
Yeah. All right. I think that covers
Yeah,
that.
that's about it.
All right, folks. This has been Coffee with Butterscotch. Thank you very much for listening. And if you want to get your questions on to next week's episode, head on over to podcast.bscotch.net. We did churn through a lot of question butter this week. So we're going to need some fresh cream.
Oh, and if you want to
In
hear
the
Sam's
butt.
talk, go to bit.ly/hyphen all caps camel case
Lowercase.
.com or something.
.com. Spelled out.
And but seriously though, it's in the GDC.
We'll put it. You'll see.
We'll try to
somewhere.
find a link or something.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.